Hello and welcome to this episode of the Queen Bee podcast. Today we are joined by award-winning hypnotherapist Marie Gilligan. Marie specialises in women's health and wellness and helps women release the grip of negative beliefs and habits, fostering a life brimming with joy, freedom and serenity. Thanks for joining us, Marie. Now, I am so excited to have you here because I truly believe from all the research that I've done, and of course, everything that I've observed, that our mind, body, and emotions are completely interconnected, and our mindset is key with everything, particularly when it comes to our well-being. What exactly is hypnotherapy and hypno coaching?
Coaching is adding to the hypnotherapy next, and it's just coaching people because everyone has their different needs. They're individual people. So it's a form of just adding to that modality of hypnotherapy to address people's needs that they want to talk about, um, for their general day-to-day life. And it's coaching them through their day-to-day lives and helping them with things they, might want to do better or how they want to feel better and just things like that. So coaching them through that as well. Yeah.
So can you give us a bit of an example of what sort of, I guess, these childhood experiences that might be still embedded within us that are holding us back from living our full lives?
Yes, as I said, our most impressionable, I guess is the word, years are 0 to 7. So to give you an example, say you're a little girl and you've been at school all day and something really exciting's happened to you at school, and you come home and you're waiting for dad, and dad, you're waiting because you're so excited to tell dad something, and you finally see dad come home and he comes in the door and he just slams the door, walks straight past you and straight into his office or straight away, doesn't even look at you, doesn't acknowledge you. As a child, if you're, say, 5 or 6 or something like that, the immediate thing you think is, Daddy doesn't love me. And things like, and it's not true, but it's something that as a child you don't know any better. So that goes into your subconscious mind. And if that can stay there, depending on everyone's individual circumstance, it can stay there. That's just an example. And that is what we can turn into a limiting belief, which is having the same thought over and over and over and over again. Those limiting beliefs are not necessarily true, but unfortunately, if it's something like that happens in childhood, then you don't know any better because you don't know what to think. But as you get older, yes, that can definitely affect you, the limiting beliefs. And they're not good for you and they don't serve you anymore.
I know you work with women in like our menopause age bracket, but for us that might be turning into things like people pleasing or feeling like that we're not good enough and those sorts of things. Is that kind of how that might play out for us as adults?
Definitely, definitely. It can, yes, it can start to happen at any stage, not necessarily at menopause, but yes, with menopause, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on, but it can be triggered at any time of your life. So yes, if depending on your childhood and how you've grown up and what you've experienced, what you've been through, it definitely can play out in different ways. And yes, a lot of what I see, because I do specialize in women that are 40 plus, that have lived um, decades of their life, obviously, and had a lot of life experiences. So there is a feeling, yes, I have dealt with women that have been people pleasers all their lives. And yes, that could have been due to any number of limiting beliefs, negative emotions, past trauma that they have been carrying with them, and they don't need it anymore. And what it does boil down to, a lot of times, is a no self-confidence, a feeling, no self-worth, um, no self-love. Self-love, very important, because they have never really thought about themselves, in themselves, any kind of care. So yes, there is a lot of that I do see. So a lot of the selves, I call them, looking after all yourselves.
And it's interesting. I kind of see that menopause or that sort of like perimenopause experience, it is very much when everything that's happening in life is coming back to you. And so everything seems to come up. And one of the things that a lot of women struggle with is really strong emotional responses, whether that is a lot of anger, whether that is a lot of sadness. Are they things that quite often can relate back to these sorts of subconscious challenges that we've had?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anger is the biggest emotion that can be stuck in your subconscious mind. And of course, consciously, you're not aware of that. Of course you're not. That's why when I speak to women, I delve deep to find out what can be behind what they're actually experiencing, because they don't know what would be causing these experiences, these negative emotions. They don't know. And a lot of times it is very surprising. It can go back decades. And once again, back to what they may have experienced in life that hasn't necessarily been a positive situation or event or experience for them. So, yes, a lot of anger, sadness, fear. Fear is another big one. Guilt is another huge one as well. And when women get to this age, as you said, to the perimenopausal or menopausal age, it's not necessarily triggered by menopause at all, but sometimes when they get to that stage, there's a lot happening in their lives along with the menopause, of course. There is a lot going on because they might have kids that are leaving home, and that's a big thing as well. There's a lot of things going on in their family lives, and all of a sudden, some women will say, "I don't know what to do," or "I'm just stuck." They're very confused, excuse me, as to what is going on in their lives. And so basically that's what I have a look at, and just have a look at seeing, okay, what do we no longer need here? Because you're only in the second chapter of your life. And that can be the best time ever. But we don't need to be carrying all that extra baggage that we've picked up along the way that we don't necessarily know that we've got with us. I've had quite a few reactions of surprise, Marie. I didn't think that I still thought about that, or that was affecting me in any way. So, yes, all that negative emotions and experiences can all be released.
So I'm really curious, how does the hypnotherapy actually work? Like, how does it get into our subconscious and find these challenges that are holding us back? And, what's going on there?
Well, with the hypnotherapy, it is dealing with your subconscious mind. So your subconscious mind, it put it very simply, it is the largest part of your mind. You have your conscious and your subconscious. And your conscious mind is your day-to-day stuff, like your decision making. That's your ego, that's your fear, most of your fear, and that is in your conscious mind. Whereas your subconscious mind is just beautiful. It loves everything. It's your imagination. So it's just wonderful. And it works 24/7, basically. When your conscious mind shuts down when you sleep, your subconscious mind keeps going because it needs to keep you going. However, the subconscious mind, unlike the conscious mind, it can't make decisions. It's been built on all your experiences throughout your life. That's what's made your subconscious mind what it is today. Good or bad, it's all in there. And because it can't make decisions, it doesn't know anything's wrong. It might say, Tanya's upright, Tanya's operating, she's all good, we're moving along, it's all good. It doesn't know that those programs it's been running for your entire life, you don't need them anymore to move on and live a happier life. So what I do is I speak to that subconscious mind by just, getting your conscious mind to just relax and shut down, just go away for a little minute so I can have a chat to the subconscious mind and say, hey, that's not helping me anymore. This is what we're going to do from now on. And so with the hypnosis, I talk to your subconscious mind, and then we just reinforce that. And then it slowly starts to change more over to the positive, and it goes, oh, so we're not doing that anymore. And it realizes then, with certain, gets the momentum up that it's not happening anymore that way. And that's how it starts to change. It needs to be told because it does not make decisions. So that's it very basically, Tanya.
But basic is good. Basic is good.
There's a lot of science
Like
and
I know,
pathways involved and all that kind of stuff, but that's
I'm just sort of think like, traditionally when I was growing up, you think of hypnotists, I should say, as, like the watch in front of the eye or the spinning wheel or something very visual, but it doesn't work like that, does it? Not what you do.
No, it doesn't work like that, and it's a bit of a hard thing because sometimes people, they see the stage hypnotists and the movies about hypnosis. I don't know what to say. They're sometimes very, very far from the truth. I'm a hypnotherapist, so it's therapy with me. And stage and the movies are for entertainment. So not all swinging watches and flashing lights and stuff like that. It's just a very, very, very deep state of conscious relaxation, which allows your conscious mind to just go away and have a bit of a nap for a while I have a chat to the subconscious mind. So, yeah, it's none of that other stuff. It's not scary. It's not mind control, which sometimes people think it is from exposure to that kind of stuff. I think it's mind control. You'll never be fully unconscious. You're always conscious. You can always hear me, always. You can open your eyes and snap out of it whenever you want to. So they're the main things people want to. Oh, another one people do worry about. Will I be telling a lot of deep, dark secrets that I don't want anyone to know? That was another big one, and that's not the case. If you don't want to tell me consciously when we do a consultation, then you won't tell me if you're under hypnosis. So yes, it's all very very relaxing and very just calming, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk limitations. And one of the big ones in terms of health at this stage of our lives is alcohol consumption. It's rising rather than falling. And we know that can have big health implications, including worsening symptoms and just in terms of our long-term health. We usually need to have the desire to change something for us to have a chance of success when we change our behaviors. If we know we need to change something, like whether it's giving up smoking or reducing our alcohol, but we really enjoy it, is hypnotherapy an approach where we can actually have some change take place without us feeling like we're being, I guess, dragged through the experience of like reducing our alcohol or something?
Yes, definitely. I know exactly what you're saying, Tanya. You do need to want to. That's one of the things. You do need to be committed. If you feel, for instance, say, you might have a wine o'clock habit, which is what you call it, like you've got a stressful job. You might have adult children at home that might be giving you a little bit of grief, or you're worried about this or that, or your finances or whatever, and you've stumbled into that wine o'clock habit. And you know that you don't really want to do it, but it's just turned into that habit. And that can be due to a couple of things. It obviously can be due to stress, which does cause a lot of things. If if you are drinking like every day, for instance, it's just probably taking the pain away a bit because it, dulls your brain and stuff like that. With the hypnotherapy, what it does is it takes away your, I guess, your desire to want to do that every single day. So the way it works is it doesn't work with your conscious mind, which is your free will and your ego and your willpower, for instance. And how it works is you would come home and you actually just wouldn't want to drink, so you wouldn't have one. You don't have to go say to yourself, I won't have a drink tomorrow, I won't have a drink the next day, I'm not going to drink during the week, I won't drink on days, that I'll work and all that kind of stuff. And that never works because that all gets too hard. With hypnotherapy, you just don't have the desire to do that consistent drinking. And then that leads to feeling better about yourself. It's all like a bit of a domino effect. You feel better about yourself. And it won't stop you going out and having a wine with lunch with your girlfriends or something like that. That's okay. It's a different kind of situation. Having a social drink rather than coming home and drinking every night because you want to block everything out. It's a different kind of thing. For smoking, say for instance, if you don't want to give up smoking, you won't. So, it's like that. But I did have a client online. She was drinking 3 to 4 cartons of beer a week. And she was just doing it. I don't think she knew why or whatever, but she knew she didn't want to anymore, and she really didn't want to. And within 2 weeks, she had stopped drinking altogether. And she said, I don't understand. I can't believe this, Marie. I just don't want to drink. And that's the way it works. That is the way it works. She had a son who was 20. He'd never seen her without a beer in her hand his whole life. And she'd said to me, my son keeps popping around out of the blue any hour of the day, Marie, and I don't know why. And I said, he's checking up on you. He can't believe it either. So anyway, everything just improved for her. She repaired her relationship with her daughter. Her son, he was loving it. He couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it. And the first night she went to the pub and drank water and drove everyone home, she said, I had the best night of my life. I laughed all night, drove everyone home, woke up feeling $1 million. So, and that's kind of how it works. You just don't want to. You always have a free will. You can always force yourself to. That's your free will. But if you don't want to, you just don't. And it's the same with eating and smoking and that kind of stuff. You really just don't want to. And that's your subconscious mind at work once it's been reprogrammed a little bit to say, we're not doing that anymore because we really don't like it.
Yeah, and I guess also the opportunity when we do go through that experience of having a hypnotherapist who can help us with those kind of almost addictive behaviors sometimes, but also then unpacking, well, why has this started? Why are we needing to do this in the first place? What else is going on there? And we can sort of sort out things on all sorts of levels.
Absolutely right. As I said just briefly before, consciously you don't know what's in your subconscious mind. You're not aware of, what you've picked up. It just goes into your subconscious mind. And, a lot of times it's not good for us. You don't know it's there. I've had women say to me, oh my God, Marie, I did not believe I was angry about that. But here we are, And I've had one woman who wanted to give up smoking and do a free consultation. So I delve into why this certain woman had taken up smoking again after 10 years or whatever it was. She'd taken it up again. And she didn't want to do it. She just was doing it and couldn't understand why. And once we'd had our consultation, I had figured out why, but she did not want to take that on. She said, that's ridiculous. That's not right. And I said, well, okay, don't do it. We will do it. We won't do it. It's, it's totally her, the person's choice. Oh, all right, she said. After 2 weeks of, hypnotherapy and dealing with what was underneath why she had taken up smoking, she gave up. And she said, oh my God. And it's always such a joy to see that. That's why I do what I do. The transformations in people that I can see, it's amazing.
Since we're on a podcast where we're focusing about menopause, can you share a bit about your own experience with menopause?
Well, yes, I actually got diagnosed with breast cancer in 2006. So I got sent kicking and screaming into menopause. With all of us, it's not something you can prepare for because I know women in all different ages can experience, menopause or, even menopause. But I just went straight into it through the breast cancer. I don't know if it's through that or whether it's the medication or stuff like that. I have to say, I guess I was probably more focused on the breast cancer initially, navigating that. But I also realised I would be in menopause if I wasn't already. But my experience, apart from the breast cancer, with actual menopause after everything, settled down with that and I was on track and wasn't too bad. But I did pick up that you should always look to your mother and ask your mother what her menopause symptoms were like. Mine weren't too bad. I do remember one where I had Dad in the car with me. We were driving to I was driving and he was just with me. He was going to take the car or something and driving me to work. And all of a sudden, Tanya, this wave of water, salty water, just started coming out of my forehead into my eyes. I said, I've got to pull over. I can't sit. So it was, I had that was a massive, I don't know, I think it was like on the next level to hot flush. I don't know. I think we were way past hot flush when we got wave coming into the eyes. But that's, obviously we all get the hot flushes and stuff like that. I did research menopause a fair bit at the time, and some of the things the women were going through were quite horrendous for them. So I did feel quite blessed that I didn't go through all that. But yes, of course, the hot flushes, still get a few now, your own little personal summer you have going on in your body. Yeah, but apart from that, pretty good. I don't know if you asked anyone else, they might say I was moody. I can't say for me. The main things I guess you hear about, the moodiness or the irrational behaviour, the hot flushes. I've had friends that have had to get up in the middle of the night and change their sheets. Never had that extreme. So I feel really blessed in that way.
It's interesting that you say you look to your mother, because I had a big chat with my mum the other day. She had a hysterectomy at 50. I always thought it was younger because I didn't remember. Well, she was in her early 50s anyway, and she hadn't had any menopause symptoms, and yet sort of went straight into menopause. And so she didn't have anything. My younger sister, she's, what am I? I'm 49, she's 47. She's not really had anything. Me, I've had everything. But I think it's because I had children so late that changed how my body could cope with things. So whereas my mum and my sister were both in the early 30s, I was nearly 40. So it is interesting. Like, we come up with these ideas of how do we generalize things, because that's how our brains like to work. We like to simplify things. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, it is interesting.
Like, we can read a lot of things into why things don't happen and why they do. And yet, look, with your body, everyone's body's totally different, and why the scientists keep working and all that, isn't it? To keep looking at all those kind of things.
Absolutely. Now, that's all the questions I've got for you, Marie. Are there some things that you'd like to share with us about what you're doing? Obviously, we will have your links in the details for the podcast, but if there's anything else that you'd like to share.
I'm actually in the process of together my new 12-week program, which is called Release, Revive, and Redesign, which is based on what we've been chatting about today, just for women. I specialise in women that are probably 35, 40 plus, to help them release those things we've discussed today. That I've dealt with a lot of women that have said, I don't know what's wrong, Marie. There's something I just don't know. And they don't know consciously. So that first part of the program will be releasing those limiting beliefs, negative emotions, any past or present trauma. And then basically looking at if they do fall into something like we discussed, like a wine o'clock habit or something like that, and dealing with that. And then the last part of the program would be rebuilding, which is the most, well, it's all important, but rebuilding their self-confidence, self-worth, self-love, self-esteem, so they can get for the next chapter of their life, get what they deserve to have, and to be more fulfilled and be happy. And if they have been, say, what we discussed, like a people pleaser for most of their lives, because they've had a family, a growing family, they've done nothing but that, and then they go, what do I do now? But deep down, I know from speaking to a lot of women, they've all had desires that they want. So then once they've got their confidence back, just look at, okay, so what do we want to do now? And talk about that. I'm also working on a 6-month program, which includes all that, but it also includes specifics of nutrition and your sleeping and your general lifestyle. Plus, I'm also a master energy healer and a soul realignment practitioner. What it is, in basic terms, is massive. Energy is all around us. That is all tied up with your emotions and everything as well. So that's your 6 long. That's very intense, and that also looks at getting back your feminine power, because a lot of us in our day-to-day life, and it's what we've all been taught to do: grow up, go to school, go to high school, get a boyfriend, get married, have kids. This is what you do. You've got to work 24/7 to get money, to get a house. That's do. That's the masculine energy. So this 6-month program also deals with, let's look at more the feminine energy.
So with these kind of programs, Mari, because I really think there's probably a lot of stuff holding me back in my business side that I don't know what it is. I should probably do this. Are these online or are they face to face? How does it work?
I do everything online, Tanya. It works very well for people. Obviously face to face. If you say face to face, it's like you and I are now face to face.
Yeah. Okay.
But they are online. And really, with a lot of it, like with technology now, it's perfect. And with hypnotherapy especially, because it's important you are very relaxed, to be able to be in your own home, to relax and know that you're somewhere you can get away, and that's your time because that's your space. And a lot of women that I deal with love that actual, just the fact they can have that time and they're comfortable and they don't have to drive miles to go somewhere they've never been before or not familiar with. And it works fantastically.
And I guess if home isn't that relaxing place, you could just find somewhere else. But because you could do it on a phone, it doesn't need to be a computer or anything
No,
like
right.
that these days. It's amazing.
Yes, a lot of people do it on their phones. You wouldn't believe the places people have taken themselves to, Tanya, to get peace and quiet and uninterrupted time with their phones. So these programs that I'm doing are just they encompass everything, because I've had the experience of dealing with so many women that are just stuck. They don't know what's going on. Fortunately, I know. And with a bit of chat, we can figure out what's going on, and then I actually do individual programs for each person. It's not an off the shelf, or such and such has got that wrong, we'll just give her that. It's not like that. It's it deals with your needs and what you need specifically. So I think that's important. I really do. And
Yeah.
every week we have a chat first, like you and I are chatting now. How's it going? And then at the end we do the same thing. That's when a bit of coaching comes into things. Obviously, with the 6-month long, there's going to be a lot more coaching and that come into it as well. So yeah, so it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to helping so many more women. I really, really am, because I've seen the transformation, and I love it. Absolutely love it. When you get someone say to you, Marie, thank you for giving me back my life. What can you
Yeah.
say? It's
It's
amazing.
magic, hey?
It is. It definitely is magic. It definitely is. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Today we've been yarning with Marie Gilligan, a regionally based hypnotherapist and woman-centered coach, specializing in helping women through the complexities of emotions like anger, fear, guilt, shame, and past traumas. You can connect with Marie through her website, discreetresolutions.com, and we'll also have the links in our episode description. Thank you so much for joining me today, Mara. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Tanya. It's been lovely chatting to you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me.